Radhan Aja Gajani.
Where was she from?
She is from Chapala.
What was her job?
Her job is to teach women.
What was she famous for?
Ala Gajani is a national hero who helped the woman smarter.
What's the weather like in London in March?
It's very rainy and sometimes sunny.
What's the weather like in Hawaii in July?
It is very sunny and warm. There are nights wind. The high temperature is about 32.
What's the weather like in Paris in June?
It is sunny and warm. The evenings are long and cool.
What's the weather like in New York in November?
It's quite cloudy and windy. It often rains.
Then Ajeng Kartini.
Where was she from?
She is from Japan.
What was her job?
Her job is to teach women.
What was she famous for?
L.R. Kartini is a national hero who fights for the emancipation of women. Insigne Sukarno. Where was he from?
He was from Blitar.
What was his job?
He is our first president.
What was he famous for?
He was the man who proclaimed our independence.
General Sudirman.
Where was he from?
He was from Rembang.
What was his job?
He is chief of the army.
What was he famous for?
He was famous with guerrilla war to defend Indonesia territory from the Dutch. Muhammad Hatta. Where was he from?
He was from Bukit Tinggi, West Sumatra.
What was his job?
He was the first vice president.
What was he famous for?
He was famous for proclaiming independence and established cooperative.
Where else Supratman?
Where was he from?
He was from Purworejo.
What was his job?
His job is musician.
What was he famous for?
He was famous for composing both the music and lyrics for the song Indonesia Raya. Ki Hajar Dewantara. Where was he from?
He was from Yogyakarta.
What was his job?
He was a journalist and an educator.
What was he famous for?
He was famous for as the father of Indonesian national education.
What's the weather like in London in March?
It's very rainy and sometimes sunny. The high temperature is about 15 and the low is 5. What's the weather like in Hawaii in July?
It is very sunny and warm. There are light winds. The high temperature is about 32 and the low is about 24. What's the weather like in Iceland in December?
It's pretty snowy. It is very windy. The temperature is around freezing. What's the weather like in Paris in June?
It is sunny and warm. The evenings are long and cool. The high is around 28 and the low is around 20. What's the weather like in New York in November?
It's quite cloudy and windy. It often rains. The high temperature is about 12 and the low is 2. What's the weather like in Sydney in May?
It is clear and hot. It is a little humid. The high is usually over 13 and the low is around 20.